Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Arena the Contest. It's Flanks here with Code,
What's
and
up, guys?
today we got something a little different than our normal thing. Starting off the new year here in 2021, I thought I'd cover the newest update number 50. It came out yesterday, last night, and going to talk about what was kind of included in there and hopefully be able to answer maybe some questions that I've been seeing kind of popping up a few different times through either Discord or BGG or in the Facebook group, which actually, yeah, I should add that one there. Is another great example. Um, of a lot of questions about the campaign and what things are included here and there. So, anyway, we'll go in and talk about the update first, and then we'll kind of move on from there. All right, so update number 50 that included pretty good amount of. I'd say it wasn't like it really wasn't a design update. It was more of a production update, but it provided a lot of information and clarity to some information that's been a little bit vague, but now we have a pretty good idea. And there's even still some items with it that I'd add, but we'll get to that there. So basically, they're just talking about the start of a new year. We got the Dragon Collection lid box here, which if you guys may have not already seen the original Arena of the Contest box and the Heroes and Dungeons box, came with this special plastic pre like formed lid, which is actually really cool. It's got that indent, and in this case, it's like it's one of the dragons. In the original Arena of the Contest, it was I think like Tamram and basically the dragon in the background, and it's pretty like epic battle looking scene. But anyway, they put it that on both boxes, and it's just a little kind of nice decorative piece there to hold your miniatures into your box. Down here we get some pictures of the painted dragons inside the box. So see a little bit more of the colors. You'll notice that the blue doesn't seem to look quite as brightly blue as it did before. Same thing with the red. Looks like that there's been some improvements there. And obviously the other one's a little harder to tell, but we do get to see like entire shapes of them. And then we got the Queen of Dragons Telesa there. So, and then of course some cards. So it's cool to see at least the top of the Dragon Collection box here. Get some cool pictures here of the Teneris RPG book. Some bad guys here. This is a Penumbral Horror from the RPG. We got the Imperial Palace, so we're getting some great new artwork, which is always good to see. That I mean, I always felt like the first one just didn't have enough. I feel like they reutilized assets so often that it was like we just didn't get to see enough. But it was their first campaign, trying to probably didn't have a ton of money, right, getting it all going. So anyway, we'll forgive him for that one. Here we go. We're on the probably the most exciting picture, in my opinion, of this entire update, and this is the tray for the core box. We got Avalum, we got Neri, we got Tarim, we got Talia, Rokaru, Garen, Jirana, Rurik, Zafara, Katarina, Cedric, and Qatar all in here. So we kind of get to see finally what they look like printed, and not just printed in their sample pictures or even their sample, like resin print, but actually like a color shot of each of their class colors. Comments I would say about this is the blue, green, maybe the gray and the purple for sure look almost identical to what they looked like in the original box or the original game. The tactician's orange here looks a little bit brighter orange than it did in the original. And then for sure the Brutes is significantly a much brighter red, which I don't know if I'm super crazy about that, but for a lot of people, people are going to be painting these, so it's not necessarily like the end of the world. But if you're not going to paint them, maybe maybe not optimal having a super bright red color, but maybe it'll still change. That's one thing that they actually talked about in this update. And actually, the main reason that we're going to jump here to the main topic is they're having a 1 month delay from their original schedule. So we were supposed to start shipping in January, most likely end of January. And one thing they talk about is, since they have been having to ship miniatures back and forth between China and where they're at in Brazil, they haven't been able to get the final touches all done as quickly as they would have normally if they would have been able to go to China and work with the supplier directly to get those things ironed out a lot quicker. So obviously this is due to COVID, not them deciding not to. It's specifically health reasons. So it's taken them a little bit longer, and one of the last pieces is this tray, and they're making some minor modifications to the miniatures, so they got to make sure that the tray will fit the miniatures and not send us a box that the miniatures just don't fit at all. In the original box, they did a fantastic job of the miniatures all fit really well and securely, and you knew exactly which class was which. They put little class symbols on there, so it made it really simple to see this. Keep them in the box, keep them safe. You could use the box for whatever you want, or just leave it in the game box as well. So anyway, so that is some unfortunate news. Obviously, nobody likes hearing about more delays. In total, I guess this would be a 4 month delay from the original schedule, because they were supposed to start shipping in October, I believe, and then obviously then they moved it back to January, and now they're talking about February. They do mention in here that they're hoping to get it done. One thing that's slowing it down too is, if you don't know, there's the Chinese New Year in February. Well, the problem with that is basically everything shuts down in China when that happens. Now, this year could be a little different. Who knows exactly what's going to happen? But normally they just kind of shut down and don't work during that period of time, and then when they eventually get going again. But I mean, I've seen before where suppliers are trying to get stuff in, and then Chinese New Year comes and they can't just get it done in the timing they were thinking. So from the sounds of it, they're already working on this stuff and just trying to get things ironed out, and it's just finished up, and then they're gonna move on to the next thing. And so hopefully should actually get out in February. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it actually got out in March, though. So we're going to talk specifically now about the production timeline. There is elements in here about the development as well that they talk about, but let's first talk about manufacturing, because there's a point that I specifically want to bring up, and that is related to one of the items and questions that I see all the time in Kickstarter or Discord chat or Facebook or any of the other groups, and just get some of that stuff laid out and hopefully clarified for people. All right, so they're saying in January, right? They're finishing this back and forth of adjusting of the miniature molds, making them, final corrections and all that. They're trying to finish the coloring of the miniatures. Some of the ones we saw earlier may not be the final coloring, but I guess it's kind of wait to see on that. They're working on those test trays to make sure that the miniatures will fit in the inserts and won't be flying out or gripping the miniatures so tight that they end up breaking them off, which I have seen before. And then they're going to assemble the boxes, start assembling the boxes for the first wave rewards. And then we get a little picture here of a bunch of the red dragon arm pieces. All right, in February, the Chinese New Year, factory stop for 2 weeks. They finish the assembly of boxes. Fulfillment process is initiated, and then they start work on miniatures for the second wave. So, this 2 weeks, sometimes it's 2 weeks, sometimes it seems like it's longer than that. So sometimes it's a little questionable exactly how long people out, but 2 weeks is what the plan is. And then finish this assembly, which they've already started in January, and then hopefully get it processed. So, when they do this, they get all the miniatures and everything, and they put them in the boxes, and they have to assemble all those different boxes and pieces in there, and then get them in, and actually wrap them up in the what do you call it? The cellophane? Is that what it is? The plastic wrap that goes over the boxes to keep them tight and sealed, and you don't get water in, and then wrap them all up in shipping boxes and putting them on pallets, and then getting them onto delivery trucks that'll take them out to the port. So that's quite a bit of stuff to do. Essentially, there's really only about 2 weeks to try to get all this done. So that's kind of why I'm a little hesitant in believing that it'll actually get out in February. Going into March, they say the fulfillment of first wave continues. Boxes are shipped and arrive at hubs around the world. The first backers start to receive their awards. So for American backers like myself and Code here, the standard time basically for a ship to leave China and get to America is pretty much about almost a month. It's almost 4 weeks of time to just get the ship off and then getting over to America, and then they got to unload it, and then it's got to basically start getting processed through customs. And then once it's all processed, they kind of set it, off to the side, and then eventually those get picked up and taken to the logistics companies like is it Quartermaster? Yeah, Quartermaster, at least for America, is doing fulfillment. So they get it picked up or it gets delivered to them, and once they get those boxes, assuming it's still within their timeline, and Dragori has fully clarified when these items are coming, then most likely they could get them started processed, right? Because everyone has their own orders that are all different, and then they're going to, build the, your order, right? Say you order the Dragon Collection and you ordered the core box, and you ordered, like sleeves or something, and that's all you ordered. Well, they gotta, get all those different pieces together to send it out to you. So that, that'll take a little bit of time. Luckily, Quartermaster Logistics, from what I've seen so far, is they're one of the top logistic companies that there is out there. So they're pretty good about getting items filled pretty quickly, but sometimes they do get a little bit of a backlog as well, and that could potentially impact, but we just don't know. We'll have to see once it gets closer to that point. So anyway, the idea that boxes are shipped and arrive at hubs around the world, it's possible. The hubs that we would be talking about probably would be like Asian hubs. The Asian market is most likely the first market to receive everything because obviously it's already in China. So they're most likely to potentially start receiving things and potentially actually maybe receive their reward. So it's possible to get it in March, but not necessarily that likely either. All right, and I love this picture of this Mad Walker. That's a great miniature. Just looks like fun, and be like a pretty cool one to get painted too. So that's from the RPG book. All right, and then in April it says more and more first wave backers receive their rewards as fulfillment continues. 1 month away from finishing second wave molds, in case they need extra time. And then, so anyway, this is probably the most likely month that people could start receiving their pledges. But usually, what it seems like to me when I've seen it is it takes about a month for you to get your stuff from China, from the factory to getting to whatever country it is you're in. Then it usually seems to take like another week or two to like get through customs, get to the fulfillment, get processed, and then get your order actually like sent out. And that's still pretty dang good time. So you're talking about 6 weeks, and 8 weeks is potentially more likely if there's things that slow it down. So April, even in April, especially for like American backers, maybe European backers, you could be seeing end of April potentially getting your item. Um, whenever they write these, they don't write any specific date because they don't really know. But at the same time, oftentimes uh, the developers seem to always write things it's almost like they assume that it's like, oh, you understand, it's April, so by the end of April you'll have it, and therefore we fulfilled our commitment. Not that it'll be April 1st, which I'm sure we'll see, right, Code? Like April 1st, I'm sure someone's going to be like typing on like the Facebook, group and being like, where's my package? You said it would be here.
That will be me probably doing that joke.
Yeah.
Except someone will
So
be serious.
exactly. So, I'm still hesitant to believe that it'll be like early April, maybe late April that people actually start receiving it. I mean, I'd love to be surprised, but I'm going to keep my expectations really, really low. That way, I'm not very disappointed by it. So this is another picture from the RPG book. Looks pretty awesome. All right, May. This is probably the most likely month where people will actually really be receiving everything from the first wave. So it says all first wave backers shall receive their rewards, save exceptional cases. We'll see. Like I said, I really think this will be the main month. A lot of people will receive it. There'll be probably some people that will receive in April, and maybe even a few in March. But late April, March time will definitely probably be the main fulfillment time. All right, and then we're getting to June. So now I guess one other thing we should talk about in May here. So we're close to finishing models for second wave, and then this is the very important part here. People have brought this up many times. When does the pledge manager close? It closes in May. We don't have an exact date. All we know is May. So if somebody's wondering when Pledge Manager closes, it's in May. So be sure to be watching for updates. If you don't follow on a normal cadence of all the updates, I'd probably set yourself a reminder email tonight, and put in there like if for some reason you're waiting to the last minute, put a reminder on your email, maybe May 1st or so, just in case that the pledge manager is going to be closing and you need to finish up your pledge. So, and along with that too is the RPG book campaign begins in May. So specifically, their plan was that they didn't want to do the new RPG book until the first wave had already shipped, because some people get very annoyed with the idea that a developer is trying to make more money off of people when they haven't actually fulfilled their promise of the original pledge, regardless of if it's actually, out of their hands anyway, right? Because once we get to May, theoretically it should already pretty much be completely out of Dragori's hands. It's going to be all on shipping, logistics type companies and things to get you those items. So, Dragori can try helping with some of those things sometimes, but really, I mean, it's going to be up to those logistic companies to get those things to you the final way. But anyway, the idea is they don't like that you'll haven't received something and you're paying more for something else. So they're waiting to this time to do it. And I think this is, that's why they're hoping. But in doing so, they're kind of risking their timeline. And I'm going to talk about that here in a second. So, all right, in June, mass print order for Teneris Adventures. Obviously, the pledge manager is closed, so now they're printing all the miniatures at this point, so that way we can start receiving, the production for the second wave, and then start the painting process for the Madness box items. Which, if you did the all-in painted collection, or I think was there an option for painted other
Yes.
items?
The dragons in the Madness box.
Oh, there was. I saw
Yes.
the Dragon Collection one. I didn't. Oh
I
yeah,
don't know
you're
if you.
right. Painted Madness box. Yep, you're right.
Yes.
So
And then
Madness box and
the green dragon, I think, is an option if you didn't pledge for a
yeah,
high.
and the Green Dragon too. So getting those things wrapped up here. So let's see. So what they talk about here in the development section is the pledge manager for the RPG opens almost. Oh wait, no, the Kickstarter campaign ends. Estimate. The pledge manager for the RPG opens almost immediately, which I've like maybe it's happened like one time before where I've seen a developer actually open up like the pledge manager like within a couple days of the end of a campaign. Usually it's like at least a couple days. It's never like immediately as soon as it ends or even like the next day. It's usually a few days after that. But most likely it'll still be like weeks later. That's what I see most of the time. Then the final orders are collected and pledge manager closes. So this is kind of the issue right here is they have this idea that they're running this campaign starting it in May and then ending it sometime in June. Then they're opening the pledge manager for the RPG in June, and then they're closing the RPG pledge manager in June. I find it extremely unlikely that this is going to happen. Part of the reason why is even for this campaign, you'll still see people talking about in the comments of either asking for refunds for things or people haven't finished their pledge manager yet. Usually it'll be like I think like 85% of people will finish their pledge manager, in time, but then there'll be like another 10 or 15% of people that'll just like forget or just didn't close it. And so, potentially you might not get those items, but with really tight timelines, you're risking more people not essentially paying for the product completely other than what's, in the RPG. So, or in the Kickstarter. So it's definitely really risky, and obviously they're trying to include all the RPG stuff with Second Wave, which is the original plan. And I don't know.
It's pretty tight.
Very tight. All in 1 month. That's a lot. All right. Then in July, 1 month away from shipping Teneris Adventures Wave 2, which I don't know. We'll see. Mass print order for Teneris Adventure books. Mass print order for RPG campaign. And then they're working on some of the digital content and some additional items from the RPG campaign. But there's obviously they're trying to save all the book work for near the end here. Um, so obviously being an RPG, it's just a book. There's not a lot of miniatures, but there is some miniatures. Uh, it's still going to take a little bit longer than if it was just a book, but they may already be planning to just include all of those items back in what was it like May or whatever. Yeah, closing finishing molds for miniatures from the second wave. So they may be including it in that. Um, and anyway, so then this is another awesome, cool MV. If you've been watching this, like Gluttony, Envy. What was the one above that? I don't know.
Um, there's seven sins.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So getting stuff printed, and then in August, mass production of board game and RPG book ends. So they're trying to finish up production in August, and then they're going to start. It says fulfillment process initiated. Boxes are shipped and arrive at hubs around the world. The first backers start to receive their rewards. So they show September, October. Like we said earlier, I mean, if they actually start at the very beginning sending those boxes out of the factory September 1st, people might receive the some of the at least like American backers might receive them by October, but it's still going to be extremely tight for them to do that with this timeline, and that's assuming nothing else along here has gone wrong or something else has slowed down. I mean, I am pretty unlikely to think that this is all actually going to be done. I think people should, be potentially open to the possibility that there might be another delay in the future. But we're gonna hope for the best, but not think that's only that's the likely case. So another cool piece of information in this update is about they mentioned that there is a secret 2022 project that they're going to reveal some information about this year, but they're not actually going to open the campaign until next year for. So that's why they write all this top secret related to 2022. For people that don't know already, they're most likely building another type of board game that is not going to exist within the Arena of the Contest universe. It'll be something different. One other thing that we do know, and I don't know if we've even mentioned this in a previous stream or not, is that Dragori is actually working on a retail version of Arena the Contest, like like priced level for people to be able to play Arena the Contest without spending, a ton of money. That has been one of the biggest complaints that I've seen about this game over and over is it just costs too much money, right? You have so many components, you have so many miniatures that just eat up so much of that cost that you're talking about hundreds of dollars for this game. And if you're, a lot of people that play board games here, they like buying a lot of games, but they don't necessarily like paying, $300-400 or even more, all the time to buy brand new games. They like buying like cheaper ones if they're gonna buy a whole bunch. So having like a retail level where it's a little bit cheaper to get somebody in is probably a really good plan to keep expanding the game out to a wider audience than just trying to keep the price, where it is, and hoping that everyone will just keep buying it. Anyway, so we get all kinds of comments here. Everyone's all excited. Some people are upset about the delay. And so, one thing that I wanted to talk about, and this was related to this shipping, and I mentioned in a comment before, is people were saying, oh, well, they said in this update, if you go back up here, up to March, they said in the update that our items aren't coming till March, but they said it was coming in January. So it's like a 3 month delay that we're talking about now. Well, hold on. They said in the previous updates that they would start fulfillment of these of the campaign, the first wave, in January. That didn't mean that it was arriving at your door. It meant that it was leaving the factory. So like I mentioned earlier about the timeline is, there's all these other items that it takes to get to your door. It's not just immediately teleported there. Nobody's putting it on an airplane because that costs a crazy amount of money to do, especially for, heavy game boxes like this. So, people should have already been expecting that case it was going to show up in March or April to begin with. Now we have a month delay. That's why I lean more towards April at the very earliest, and May is more likely. Um, so anyway, so when I've just seen it over and over, people saying, "Oh, it's a massive delay." Well, no, it's not a massive delay. It's just they did not do a very good job of communicating that they were fulfilling these pledges by, meaning by that they were just sending them out of the factory. So. All right, so another question that we see all the time is like, what is in all of these boxes? I don't understand what's in all of these boxes. Okay, well, a couple things. There's two main things to understand. Arena, the core box, is the box you have to have essentially anything else to play the game itself. So you have to have the core box to play it. You cannot just get just Teneris Adventures by itself, because Teneris Adventures is an expansion. It's not a standalone game. You have to have the core box. All right, another item. And that's almost in contrast to the Legendary box, which I'll talk about in a second, and the Heroes and Dungeons box. Those are not, they write them as expansion boxes, which they are expansions, but they're not expansions in the way that they add a lot of new gameplay stuff. They are adding heroes and miniatures, right? So there is new content, but it's not necessarily the same level that Teneris Adventures is. So another question that I see all the time is, well, this game costs so much money. What should I get that's going to cost me the least amount of money? That I'm going to get, essentially the most bang for my buck. Well, I'd suggest at the very minimum get the core box for sure. That's the number one required thing. If you have a little bit more money than that and you want to get the most bang for your buck, get Teneris Adventures. That's because you're going to be including quite a bit of, like they say, 100 plus hours, or I think it's really more like 200 plus hours of new campaign content. Especially if you like the campaign, you're really going to want that. If you care more about the PvP, this may not necessarily be the best choice, but it's still a very good choice, because if you get Teneris Adventures pledge, you also will get the Madness box, which is like the Kickstarter, stretch goal items. So that will come with it. So that's a very good option there. You're going to save some money by doing that. And then after that would be the Legendary box. This one right here is the one with the Elder Dragon, which is the gigantic miniature. Which is absolutely crazy massive. It adds that one new boss fight that you'll get. It's only, what is it, Yeah, it's $10 more. So is $10 worth this gigantic miniature and one more boss fight? It's kind of up to you to decide that. Um, if you really need a crazy awesome dragon, then sure. But if it's not, you're trying to save as much money as possible, you could just get the regular legendary box and you'll be okay. So the reason why I say to get the legendary box, and this is another main point, people say, where do the walls come? The walls from the original campaign, they come in this box. The legendary box comes with the 3D walls, which gives a lot of immersion to the game. So you have the walls, you have the doors, you have the switches, that makes the game way more fun to play. Because you're playing three-dimensionally than just something on the board. You get 3 more bosses here. You get, what is it, 6? I think it's 16 more heroes. Is that what it is? No, wait, no, it's probably more. No, it is 16. 16
Yeah.
more heroes. People always ask why. Why do I want more heroes if I'm only going to play a couple? Things through the campaign. That's a very possible situation, but in Teneris Adventures, at least, you're going to be playing 2 teams. So that'll be 8 heroes are going to be used in Teneris Adventures for 2 different groups. So that will really expand your possible choices, and each hero is very different. You can play all the legendary scenarios for each of the different heroes. You don't have to have that hero to play it, but they say it's at least more immersive if you do have that. So something to keep in mind there. But I mean, in my opinion, and I played this game, now for like last year since people have actually physically received this game. The additional heroes is a great buy because, in my opinion, this is what gives the game the replayability. Um, the quests and everything are, they're fun. The puzzles are fun. The campaign is fun. But for me, I'm probably a person that gets bored of things relatively pretty easy. But to me, having all these extra heroes that are all very different and being able to change team compositions is what gives that game that replayability. Um, anyway, so it's definitely worth it if you want that extra replayability. I think that's really what you're purchasing. Obviously, besides just the miniatures themselves, but you're playing and you're well. I guess something I forgot about too is the legendary box includes a class that is not included in the core box. So the core box comes with. I guess we saw the picture here earlier in the update. It comes with the brutes, the shooters, brutes, shooters, healers, tanks, tacticians, controllers, right? So those are the main classes. Then there's the Bruiser class, which is this one right here, these yellow guys. So that's a whole separate class that you won't get if you don't get the legendary box. Um, so that's definitely something to keep in mind. So and then you get 2 special characters. You get Huron, the shapeshifter, and you get Emperor, the faceless Emperor, and his lion. It's a tiger, right?
Tiger.
Yeah, his tiger that come in here, and you got the Hydra boss battle. But anyway, these 2 right here are part of the special class. So you get two additional heroes that are not part of any of the other classes that we've already seen. So there's a ton with the legendary box, but obviously it's not a cheap investment. So if you really want to be able to play this game for a long time, then legendary box is good for that. All right, so let's go to the heroes and dungeons because I've seen this a few times too. The heroes and dungeons box is from the first print of the game, the original Kickstarter. So if you order this, which looks like you can't now, it was recent. I think pretty recently it still had some boxes left, but you can't get it now. So maybe don't worry about it too much. But this is the original one, so you get the old miniatures that came in the Heroes and Dungeons box. So you can't, you obviously can't get it now, but uh, you're not missing out that it's sold out. That's basically what I just want you to know. You're not missing out. If you order the legendary box, you will get everything that the Heroes and Dungeons box had. And I mean, honestly, it's better, right? Because you're getting the reworked heroes. So don't worry about this one. Elder Dragon, we talked about him. The Green Dragon, the Green Dragon comes in the core box. So if you see this one here, it's basically you want an additional one. You don't need to order this one unless you want a second Green Dragon. There's a painted version as well. If you want to pay a little bit more for that, you want an extra one. All right, Teneris Adventures, we talked about that. Dragon Collection. All right, this is the unpainted Dragon Collection. Dragon Collection comes with the 5 new dragons, which you can see in this picture here. The 5 new dragons and the new hero, special hero class miniature, Talesa. and a new PvP mode called Boss versus Boss. So you will want this if you want an additional PvP mode that hasn't already existed in the game. So for anybody that hasn't, or even people that have already played Arena, this is completely new content. Um, these boss miniatures here will be used in the core boss, the core box campaign, or they can be used. I think they're planning to include some missions for Teneris Adventures with them too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll be able to use in Teneris Adventures as well. If you're really into D&D, probably great miniatures for that as a possibility too. But this is an additional mode. Dragon Collection, in my opinion, is probably one of the least bang for your bucks. You only get one hero. You get these new miniatures, which are awesome. I love them. And if you're really crazy about miniatures, then you're probably going to want this. But in other words, it's not going to give you a lot of gameplay. It's going to give you this one new mode, but it's not going to give you a ton of gameplay. So keep that in mind. So unpainted is 79. Painted version is significantly more than that. And you can add the paint jobs separately, I guess, which I don't know. I guess if you didn't order I don't understand exactly why there's a separate paint job option, but if you want the painted one, pick this one. All right, Medusa Hero. If you if you back the game in the first 48 hours, and they have a certain backer number. I don't remember it off the top of my head right now. It was way, 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 way long ago. If you look in the earlier updates, which it may take way too long to try to get to that, but if you look in the early updates, they talked about. Um, well, you let me know if you see it, code. But there's a certain backer number. You probably know if you're that backer or not because it'll show in your pledge already if you have Medusa. If you don't have it, add this. This is one new additional hero. I believe she's a. Is she? I think she's a crossover character, right?
Mm,
Or is
she's
she
gonna
a
be a dual.
special?
She's a new dual class character.
Yeah. So
She's an original character though. She's not
it,
cross.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. My wording was incorrect. So it's not a crossover character, but it's a dual class hero. So she'll be like essentially, and I don't even have the boss versus boss up thing, but like a bruiser and maybe a tank or something like that.
I
I'm not
think
saying
she's a
that's what she is, but
bruiser controller. I think she
she
was.
bruiser controller. Yeah. So if you want one additional hero, that'll be that. For people that got in early, you'll get this for free, so don't worry about it. Madness box. If you have the one of the pledges, I think it's the at least the Teneris pledge. So you had to at least spend the $99 pledge level, US dollars. Then you would get this Madness box for free. It comes with the Titan, Augur, Knight of the Undead, Lich, Arachna, Chimera, and the Demon. Do they have any pictures? They have only a couple like these two here. So this one comes with a few miniatures which will be used in Teneris Adventures. So kind of a fun thing there. If you're wanting to get some additional miniatures. This isn't necessarily one of the biggest items. If money is tight, I probably wouldn't add this unless you've already included it in your pledge level for Teneris Adventures. Then you get that for free. All right, the paint job. Like before, if you want it painted, go for it. If not, then save yourself the money and paint it yourself. I mean, I actually I think at first I wasn't crazy about the coloring of the auger, but I kind of like it now. And then the Undead Knight, not my favorite coloring, but still pretty awesome. So those will be fun. All right, so now let's get to the miscellaneous items. These are the items that get asked about all the time. So we'll get to those. Okay, here we go. So for game board scenarios, this is the game board pack one. It comes with two boards. This is the thing people are confused about, especially with this picture. This only adds to the confusion. This is two boards, and on each side is so like this top one and this one will be on the same page, and then this one and this one will be on the same board. So it's only two boards, but it comes with four different essentially maps. So this one right here is the Capture the Orb map. It's a PvP mode that exists in the, I guess, probably the core box rulebook there. You'll find the how to play the Capture the Orb mode. It's a PvP mode. This one right here is a winter map. It's a PvP map. You could use it for if you're creating your own dungeon, but there's not actually a dungeon set up for that one. It's strictly for PvP. This one right here, in my opinion, is the main reason to get the pack. That is the first Arena of the Contest core box quest, Lava Citadel. Basically, you have the printed map, and you take that puppy out, throw your miniatures on there. You could put the walls if you want. The walls is probably the main minimum thing, and maybe the doors or something. But even if you didn't want to do that, you just throw that down, throw your miniatures on there. Boom, you're ready to play. You don't have to build the map. So that's the awesome thing about this one. You can get in and do that first map really quickly. Then this one here is like a ground terrain, but it's completely blank. So all it is like a brown map, and that's it. So it's not really truly, it's not really anything amazing. Like it's not like it's very detailed or anything. But so that's probably the map I dislike the most out of this. But it does give you an option to be able to do essentially whatever you want. You could turn it to PvP, you could turn it PvE. So all right, here's the new one. This is the Game Board Pack 2. This is the one that has not come out yet. And did they even finish? Do you remember if they even finished which maps they're picking for all of these?
I believe they did, but it's like in the most random spot. You
Yeah,
won't find.
this one I felt like was poorly communicated. So we know for fact that one of the maps is the new boss versus boss map. If you buy the Dragon Collection, and this was like super subtle in one of the updates, if you buy the Dragon Collection, it does not come with this map. You have to build it with the core box components. If you buy the game pack, this one that we're looking at right now, which the picture is not accurate, so keep that in mind. Um, it will come with that. So all you have to do is throw down your miniatures and you can go play that. Um, but it's a nice 3D or like a designed picture. Do you know what update that was that it
Mm,
was in? Oh wait,
been a
maybe it
while.
is. This might be it right here.
It's probably Boss versus Boss Part 1.
Oh yeah. This Teneris monsters, boss versus boss.
It's either Part 1 or Part 2.
Oh, I think I'm
The other
going the
one.
wrong way.
Yeah, the other way. Go down. That's the wrong way. Part 2. That's Part 2 you just passed. I think you just passed Part 1
Yeah.
over though.
Legendary box, which they taught, and all this information you guys can find, in these updates.
Yeah, it's not that.
Yeah, we probably passed it already. It wasn't that far. It was pretty
It
close
was
too.
like one of the ones before the one you clicked.
Yeah. Oh yeah, here it was, part one. Okay, so they talk about books, miniatures, dragons. Yeah, it's not even in here.
Part 2 then.
Yeah. Did I miss
Just
it?
passed it. Yeah, you just passed
This
it.
one? No.
No,
Teneris Adventures Part Two,
not Tanares.
because it wasn't in this one.
No, keep going. Should say Boss versus Boss Part 2.
because it wasn't in this one either. Yeah, I know. Once you get, oh, here it is. This is probably it right here. There it is. So this is the map that will come in Game Pack 2. So we know that for sure. Um, and the other maps, do we know? I think maybe this green one and this throne room might be ones as well. And I think there was one more that they were looking in. Didn't they determine it was going to be like tavern or something?
They said tavern. I think that Snow one is definitely in, or something like that, where
Yeah.
it's like. And don't think I'll have to look. I know they said what the 4 maps were, but they didn't really show a picture of them either. They
Yeah.
just said
It
so.
wasn't very clear. So this one's probably one of the most little ambiguous one. But anyway, not this both of these are not necessarily to play the game. If you don't have these, you'll be perfectly fine. You can still play without it. All right, moving on to sleeves. If you like to protect your card components, then you're definitely going to want sleeves. Otherwise, not necessary if you're not too worried about it. Nice thing about this is the original sleeves from the first campaign did not include hero pad sleeves. We're getting that now, so that's actually an addition to what we got last time. So that's actually pretty good deal. I think we almost paid this amount of money last time for it, but anyway, not vital, cosmetic protection type thing, and then they're going to give you a little extra, 5% extra. So if you got the sleeves from the first campaign, you're going to have crazy amount of extra sleeves. So keep that in mind. All right, you can individually buy the reworked heroes. That is something that's been asked, and I feel like has been kind of a missing, confusing point as well. Because originally they kept saying, "Oh, well, you had to buy like certain pledge levels, right?"
Right.
Well, they decided at some point, I guess, to just make the add-on purchasable, so you can just buy the heroes. Now, I'm not exactly sure how they come. They may come in like a maybe like a cheap tray, or maybe they come in the tray that they're designing right now. Um, but they're it's not coming in like a pretty box or anything. And the reason I say that is because one of the add-ons that's down below, which is the legendary storage box. So I'll get to that in a second. Plastic token bundle, another item that you don't necessarily need. This kind of helps you, put some put these pieces down that will be kind of easier to decide what heroes and bad guys are out there without having to find the individual token. That was one of the complaints from the original game, is it would take a while to try to find that exact token that you needed to play the game, and so oftentimes you just end up just grabbing something and throwing it on there because you didn't want to spend all day trying to find, oh well, I got to find the this size door or something. So all right, then the 16 dice in velvet bag. Originally, you were only supposed to get the 8 dice, and then they did some uh, incorrect coloring, which I've talked about in a previous video. But basically, now this is all included in one. You can get all these extra dice. If you want everybody to have their own dice color of all the different classes, go for that. Completely cosmetic, not needed. Game comes with its own dice, so definitely not needed. All right. Then we got the legendary box storage manual. So this is most important for people that have not, or that own the first version of the game, but uh, want to be able to keep all of their items stored nicely, and at the same time you're going to get revised books. So you get the revised quest guide, you get the revised rule book, the revised campaign book, all from the original box, and then the Red Dragon had an incorrect print on there, so you're kind of getting a fixed up version there if you ordered this, so it's not completely necessary needed, but I think it's a pretty valuable addition if you're somebody that backed that first campaign. So I definitely have it in mind. Make sure that I got all the up to date stuff printed out nicely, and all my stuff's gonna be protected real well. All right, then we got language packs here. I think I'm just gonna do a whole nother video on just translations. There is so much to know about translations between the first campaign and this one, and kind of where the progress on everything is. So I'm really just gonna skim over this because it's just so much to talk about. So anyway, so that is all the items for me. I had already, oh boy, I had
Oh,
already uh, selected all my items and picked first wave, so there was nothing really else to add on there. All right, now let's jump to some of the comments that we've been seeing, which I think I've already been trying to go through and address a lot of the things as we did. So a lot of the different what's in what box and all that, and why do I need that. I hope I've addressed those already. If there's anyone in the chat that has any questions, feel free to kind of throw it out, and we'll see if we can answer some stuff. And if not, we'll move on to some of the other questions. Right now, it doesn't look like there's too many comments other than just people saying that they're listening. And yeah, tavern map was voted up. What's your favorite part of the update? Classic code. Um, I'd say my favorite part of the update is actually getting a firm timeline from them, and I guess the part that I actually did kind of skip on a little bit, which you can spend way more time looking at this if you want to, but they talk about some of the development that they're doing in relation to the timeline. So some of the things that they're working on, trying to get each of these classes done for the RPG book. BG means base game, RPG book, and then so that's definitely kind of interesting to see exactly where they are on those. But in my opinion, those weren't as vital to cover for what we're talking about tonight. All right, so let's see. It looks like there's another one of those most anticipated games of 2021 thing. You know, it's always good for people if you have the chance to do this stuff, fill it out, because um, the more recognition the game gets, the more chance there is more people you'll be able to play with other people. Especially for PvP, that's tons of fun. Or you could play it maybe other places, or get more people into this game. So definitely good if you do get time. If not, not the end of the world. All right. Is there any way to get extra walls and extra heroes separately? So I do remember seeing this before. Extra heroes, yes, you can get that add-on. Um, that we showed earlier. The extra walls you cannot get. I specifically even asked about that, if we could order the walls independently. Originally, Dragori was saying, "Oh yeah, we'll try to do that," and then I think it kind of turned out that that just really wasn't gonna work out very well, probably in terms of packaging and like what pricing and everything they were gonna do for it. So it's only in the legendary box. I mean, you'll get enough walls to be able to do everything, at least from the core box, from what we know, you could do everything you needed. So I'm pretty sure they're probably planning the same thing for Teneris Adventures. So you shouldn't need extra walls, at least to play the game. If you want extras, then you probably have to buy another legendary box. What was this one? Vampire Hero? Yeah, I don't know. He loves the Vampire Hero. Count Blake, the tank of the brutes. Yeah, there is no current content videos for Teneris Adventures. I'd love to get one going, hopefully soon, if Dragori were to send us something early, but not too likely considering they're just still trying to get first wave out and try to get everything else. So I think it'd be pretty unlikely to see everyone get something yet because it hasn't been finished. So. Um, there's a few other items on here like the going infinite mode, which I think they talked a little bit about, where basically you can just kind of keep playing through different quests without actually finishing. The canon of the game is you have what is it like 1 month, 2 months, or something like that is the time period, I think, and you only have so much time to complete so many quests. So you can't do everything essentially. You have two different groups that'll do different tasks, but you can't do everything. So the idea is you're going to replay it probably a couple times. Going infinite mode allows you to basically just keep playing the game without really worrying about that month timeline. How many hours for the core game, core campaign? Um, It's only 6 quests long, so there's only 6 quests. For our group, we normally would spend somewhere between 2 to 4 hours. I say 2 hours because 2 hours is probably the amount of time it takes. An hour and a half to 2 hours to actually play one of the maps, the quest maps, and then the additional time is time reading through the campaign and the cards that they had in the core box, and then like solving puzzles and stuff like that. So that can vary depending on how much time you really want to invest in that or not. So, overall, if we were to say on the extremely short end, you just like ignored most of the campaign stuff and just kind of went through to through, you're probably talking about minimum, absolute minimum 12 hours, but it's probably still going to take you longer because you're going to, there's like level up um, like cards that you can get. You can buy additional items like artifacts. There's, you can buy other abilities to use. There's like, oh, what is it? There's the flasks and stuff that are in the game too. I mean, they've kind of improved that, so it doesn't really take that much time. But I'd say at least, probably like 15 hours at, absolute minimum to play the entire game one time through. And then, most likely it's going to be, more than that. So what, talking about 24, I'd say maybe closer to 30 hours if you play one time through. So somewhere there between 15 and 30 hours.
Hmm.
All right, is Teneris playable without arena? We answered that one already. No, you have to have arena to play the game. Um, there is a whole bunch of miniatures. Somebody asked recently about the number of miniatures. If you join our Discord, we have the Arena of the Contest community content server, and this is a fan made Discord server, but it's pretty much as official as it gets. Like there is no official Dragori one. This is basically it. You can join either by going to, I think you can go to Arena of the Contest. I think it's still on there. Um,
Yes.
go to Arena of the Contest and go to the main site and then go up to game, go to community made, um, and then go to, it says Discord. Yeah, Discord community made. Click that, and that'll be an invite to the Discord server. If not, there will be a link. There's also a link in my video. All my videos, I post this. And then, of course, I'm sure you can probably find it throughout the BGG or Facebook. It's posted all over the place. So there definitely still time to pledge for this. Like we said, it's open till May. Let's see, there's a question. Do we know if story carries over to Teneris? Yes, there definitely is. The story, I believe, continues directly after the core box. In fact, I think the story that they provided, if you go back to the updates, and it's still pretty early on. They did for a while. They were doing a little bit of a mix between like actual information about what was going on with the campaign and like story elements. And so I'm pretty sure that story that they were providing was a story from the new Teneris Adventures, which is pretty close to right after what happens in the core box. So yeah, I mean, you may want to play it first. If you don't play it first, like the core box campaign, it won't be you know end of the world type scenario, but it's still a very enjoyable game. I think anybody would have fun playing the core box campaign. I mean, all those missions were a ton of fun, and the puzzle aspects too were a lot of fun. Any other items here? Trying to think. So in our Discord, like I was saying, is we have an Excel sheet that shows all of the uh, miniatures that there are available. Let me see if I can get it here. I put it in the questions and answers, right? Yeah, here we go. There it is. All right, here we go. This is it right here. So if you want to see the count, it's in which boxes they come in, Tanares or the Madness box, Core box, Imperial box, which is the original name of the first campaign. It's the same thing. Legendary box is the same thing. Here's Dungeons box, Legendary box, same thing. So you can see what's in there, what there is, how many there are, what type they are, and then even the sizing. The sizing is actually listed on the character or on the Kickstarter page. So if you're not sure what hero means, go to the Kickstarter page, scroll down, and where is it? No, that's not it. Further. Oh, here we go. Here we go. We got minion size, hero size, large one, and then huge boss. So when you're looking at this here to understand what this means, you'll understand. Then obviously there's scenery, like yeah, farmer barrels, those kind of things. Okay, so if you want to know the total count miniatures is 188. Teneris only miniatures is 75, including Madness Box and Medusa. 109 sculpts. So there's a lot there, you guys. Crazy amount of, crazy amount of content here. Um, and then we have a frequently asked questions area in here that we're going to keep adding items to. And I'm also trying to create some new player guides for people that still haven't played. You can watch any of my previous videos to get pretty good understanding. Um, I do a lot of videos on explaining exactly what's going on in the game if you haven't played before, so you won't get completely lost. But um, frequently asked questions. We're just getting started. It's filled out a lot. You can also go to the section that's talking about questions and answers, and a lot of questions have been answered in there as well. Oh man. Anything else you can think of, Code?
Um, just you know, I'll refer back to that timeline. I know they're gonna update it over
Oh yeah, for
as they go.
sure.
But just that timeline's pretty can answer pretty much a lot of questions that have been popping up. Um,
There's a question about solo play, which is a really good question that does actually get asked quite a bit as well. Um, yeah, good point about the PvP. So, solo play. Yes, solo play is very possible for the campaign, but it kind of also depends on how much work you want to do. So, if we're talking about the core box, um, you have to play with 4 heroes. That is the rules of the core box, which, if you're just starting the game, might be a little intimidating having to play with 4 heroes and trying to do the AI. Although the AI is very simple, it's primarily, you're pulling these cards, and they tell you what type of order that they'll be attacking in. And most of the time, they do basic strategy. Basic strategy is the closest hero with the lowest hit points. So you'll be basically doing that quite often. So it's really not that bad. Most of the heroes only have, they all pretty much have 4 abilities. So it's not like you're super crazy overwhelmed. You have 16. You got to do them in any order. Um, and the game is very challenging, especially when you first start. You may be a little overwhelmed, but you don't have to play with the advanced rules. There's advanced rules with reaction attacks, focus, mobbing. That stuff you don't have to play with. You can play without those, and it'll simplify the game a lot. But you know, it, it's not that bad. You can also play maybe with like 2 people, and then 2 people take 2 characters. One person takes each 2 characters, so then it's not quite as bad to deal with all those. So it's still very possible to do solo play. All right, now in regards to Teneris Adventures, that's something that they were changing, right? They're creating this new simplified mode, which I think we heard about in, what was it, update 49? Is that what it was?
it was either 49 or 48.
Yeah, ways to play the campaign. Yeah, they talk about the lighter version of slowly introducing new components and stuff like that. So for Teneris Adventures, it sounds like they're trying to make it even easier for people to try to be able to play the game. And I think they were even trying to like come up with a way to play like with less heroes. Now I don't know if that actually is gonna come out or not, but because you're supposed to have 2 teams, right? It's 2 teams of 4 that you'll play with, but they're making it. This game's pretty simple. It's a little overwhelming at the beginning, but once you start learning through the rules, watch some videos. Definitely, that helps as well. Watch other people play it, kind of get the flow of the game. Are good ways to learn, and it's really not that bad. I mean, you'll be playing it pretty quick. And then I'm glad you actually made the comment about PvP too, because that is one of the items that I don't think we've even heard about at all yet. Which is that's one of the promised items from the Teneris Adventures campaign, is you're supposed to be able to do solo PvP, which sounds like counterintuitive, right? Because it's not really PvP at that point. You're just playing against the game. So, but that is the plan. That they'll be able to play solo PvP. Uh, anything else you guys got? There's just so much. All these heroes are looking so amazing in comparison to what they did in the first campaign. I kind of, in some ways, a little jealous of the people that are just kind of jumping in now, because it seems like it's going to be so improved from what we received. Not that the original one was bad, but just the fact that you're getting that second that second revision. I always feel like whenever I'm playing a board game that has already had revisions, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm glad I'm getting this newest revision that's already had people look at things and go like, oh, that didn't really work and blah blah blah, and they improved it. And I didn't have to essentially play the version that had maybe a few issues here and there. Not that it was problems all over, but just that another pass has gone over at least by like the community.
Totally not me.
Yeah, right. So anyway, I think that's pretty much about all I wanted to cover for today. Like I said, I'd like to do a video probably on translations in the future, just because that is such a huge topic, and there's probably a lot of information still to go on that. But I think this should cover for a lot of people that are gonna watch this and have questions. So if you guys have any other questions that isn't covered in here, you can obviously pop it in the normal social media areas, or a great way is joining our Discord. Like I said, I'll link it in the video. But it's a really great way to, join the whole community, get to know people. Everyone here is super nice, and be able to help you learn the game, play the game. We play it on Tabletop Simulator all the time right now, since most people don't even have the game yet. But it'd be a good way to get some of those questions answered, especially if you're just kind of starting out as well. Well, anything else there, Code? You all ready to go?
I think we covered everything. I mean,
Yeah.
if there's, I'm sure there's going to be other questions that come along, but
Oh, I'm
definitely
sure there will.
join our Discord. Usually, you'll see me poking around answering questions, or any of
Exactly.
the moderators and other people.
Yep.
There's definitely also a Teneris RPG section. We already started kind of getting going, so
Yep, that's a good point there too. So announcement wise, I guess we'd say that we started kind of a new area in the channel for the Teneris RPG. So just in general, we'll be talking more D&D related things. In fact, tomorrow we'll be doing a live stream of our D&D session that we're starting. So obviously this isn't the Tanares version because we don't actually have, that content to work with yet. But just kind of to see what it's like. I mean, me and Code are doing it for essentially the first time, so we'll be just as new as everyone else. But we got some other people in there that are more experienced and be able to learn and get us ready for the RPG and see if that'll be basically try to include a whole nother area of the universe that isn't the actual board game. It's the D&D side of it. So check that out in the future, and let me know if there's any other specific content you'd like to see. Still hoping to try and get a boss versus boss match. Maybe by the end of the month, maybe actually probably next month now, considering the timeline. The plan was to try and get it just as Wave One was shipping out the door, so might be next month, but we'll kind of see how it goes. And hope you guys all have a good night. And like I said, let us know if you got any other questions. All right, see you later.
see ya.